Today I'll be reviewing Pokemon Sun and Moon episode 59, Mallow and Lana Bittersweet Memories. So first, let me talk about the last two episodes that I didn't actually review. So 57 was straight filler. I didn't even think it was worth reviewing, even with Marshadow appearing. That wasn't enough to get me to review it. And 58 was okay. It was a Team Rocket, or rather a James episode. It was funny, but nothing really stood out to me, so I give it a 7 out of 10, or a 6 out of 10 actually. Because even though it focused on Marini and James, like in their relationship, nothing really stood out to me as much as it did in the Jesse Mimikyu episode. And even though my James is my favorite Team Rocket member, I still didn't think the episode was worth reviewing. So those were my thoughts on those two episodes. So, episode 59. I really like flashback episodes because we learn more about characters. And in this one, we found out about how Mallow, my favorite Alolan Pokegirl, and Lana met. It was a cool flashback, but really didn't add anything to their character. I view Mallow and Lana now the same way I did and would if I didn't watch this episode, so that didn't really help with anything. So in the beginning of the episode, we get Ash and the others in class, and then Lana starts talking about how her sisters got lost in the forest yesterday till late in the afternoon. I'm like, Lana, do your job. What kind of sibling are you? Anyways, and then Lana says that her siblings played with a forest Pokemon, and she says that her siblings brought home a berry, and Rotom was able to identify the berry as a Haban berry. So Lana and Mallow immediately remember the berry and the Forest Grampa, and they want to say thank you to it. So Mallow and Lana and Ash decide to go find it, and the others are coincidentally busy, so they can't come along. So Team Rocket overhears this, so they decide to follow them. And on their way to the forest, Lana gets fired up, and Mallow starts to remember how they first met, and they then it starts to go into their flashback, and Mala was as friendly as ever as a child, and really straightforward too, because when she meets Lana, she just sticks her hands out and just wants to shake her hand. And Lana is just sitting there quietly being shy, and then Mala just takes her hand and grabs her and brings her to the forest. And then she takes her to her favorite spot with all these flowers, and then they start eating pollen puffs and just start bonding. And then Team Rocket overhears this story about the pollen puffs, and Jessie tries to eat one. So she has a bite of one and ends up falling. Then we get back to Mallow and Lana's flashback, and we see when they meet Grandpa, they kind of get scared and run away. And then Mallow and Lana get lost, so Mallow starts crying. And then that's when Lana gives her a Haban berry, even though it's bitter. Lana says that it's sweet to get Mallow to stop crying, so she tastes one and she feels bitter. Well, it tastes bitter, and then Mallow stops crying. So then they both start eating them. Then we get back, and Rotom is trying to still guess the Pokemon and guesses Abomasnow and just fails. And Rotom there kind of just ruined the flashback moments. Though it was funny when Lana and Mallow were just like wrong, and then said wrong again, and then you see the pan fall on Rotom's head. That was funny. So after that, we switch back to the flashback again, and Lana had a berry in her hand and it slipped, so she runs after it, and it ends up falling off a cliff, and Lana chases after it by accident, not knowing. Then Mallow tries to save her, and they both end up falling, and that's when they meet Grandpa again, and it saves them because it lands. Well, Mallow and Lana land on its back, and then Rotom is able to identify that it's Grandpa based on what they said about it flying. And then Meowth comes up with a plan to do something we probably shouldn't have seen them do. Anyway, then we switch over to Mallow and Lana again. This time they're playing with Grandpa after it saved them. And then back in present day, they finally find Grandpa again, and Team Rocket show up dressed as kids. Or those, well, Meowth is a baby, and Jesse and James show up as toddlers. It's like a weird Halloween thing. I don't know. It was awkward for everybody, and my reaction was the same as Grandpa's. Like, what? And I noticed while they were doing their Team Rocket intro thing, Jessie was playing with a Ekans, a Viper, and a Meowth, or not a Meowth, a Pumpkaboo, and those were her old Pokemon. That's something I immediately noticed in that scene. I don't know if anybody else noticed it, but if you plan on looking at the episode again for some reason, you'll notice that. So because Grandpa is so taken by, or taken off by Team Rocket's disguise, he just backs up and tries to fly away. and basically their plan fails, and then they try to capture it, and that plan fails even faster, because even though Drampa's called Drampa, he's still a dragon-type Pokemon and breaks out immediately. And then he sends them flying, and Lana and Mallow are able to reunite with Drampa and are able to think it again, and the episode ends with them eating the bittersweet berries. I'm actually surprised Ash wasn't the one who did all the work this episode, freeing Drampa, doing this for Drampa, finding Drampa. It looks like they're pushing Ash to the side for a while now, because maybe they figure we're tired of him. That, or they just can't write up anything that has to do with him. So this was an okay episode. The flashback didn't add anything to Mallow or Lana's character. And from that aspect, it didn't really do good from a flashback episode aspect. But seeing as how we got to see how they met and we got to see them as children, it was an okay episode. We also, I guess you could say, we could compare to an extent how Mallow and Lana behaved as kids to how they behave now, because as a child we saw that Lana was actually shyer than she is now. Well, I wouldn't call Lana shy now. She just isn't as talkative, but she was really shy as a kid. But now she's just more of a quiet rather than a shy person. And Mallow, she was quick to cry after getting lost in the forest, even though she was the first one that wanted to go in. And from that aspect, they've changed that way. But other than that, we didn't really get anything that shows us what they're capable of. Like the way I thought of Mallow and Lana in the beginning of the series and then the last episode is the same way I think of them now. Nothing has changed. I don't have a higher opinion of either of them. And my opinion of them hasn't gone down either. So I don't really. It was a pretty average episode overall. The next episode looks like it's going to be a Lily related episode, and she's going to be doing skiing or something. So, yeah, I give this episode a 7 out of 10. Like I was saying, it was pretty average overall. Almost felt kind of fillerish. But, anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share the video if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and bye.